Kiki seems to do really well on top lane. I was like, oh my god, he's actually doing well. He's almost as good as Chachi. It didn't fit to me. He was playing jungler in our team, and I didn't even know that he can play top lane, and he's a really good player, so he can adapt to any role, I guess, and learn fast.
Welcome back. Before we get to our game of the week here in Europe, we wanted to highlight a Down Under duel taking place next Tuesday at 8 a.m. Central European Time between the Oceanic Premier League's Legacy and Allianz. For those of you tuning in from NA, that is Monday night, so mark your calendars. And as we turn towards the matchup at hand between the UOL and G2 Esports, I'd like to welcome Origin's Mithy to the analyst desk, probably in high spirits. Nice 2-0 on the week.
Thanks.
Yeah, and good play as well. We'll have a lot of time to talk about Origin as a team later. For now, though, we have to dial in on our game of the week here, G2 over UOL. And the question here for me on my mind is G2 is now at the top of the tables. We had certain expectations for them coming into this one. But Mithy, do you feel like they have the elements in their team and in their play to remain there?
Yeah, I do. I didn't expect them to be first, and not the way they have just dominated, but I definitely, after playing against them in scrims and so on, I think they can stay at the top. It's mostly just about how they keep adapting and if they can like keep getting their teamwork flowing like it is right now, because I think they're really good.
I like the fact we're seeing new things as well coming in from G2, except for maybe the pick and ban phase last week with Udyr and Zed and so on. That was pretty terrible. But the one yesterday, finally a team is playing Corki mid in Europe. I mean, it's such a good pick if you're an aggressive early game team and you know that you want to try and snowball the mid game. Perkz had a fantastic game on it. And honestly, once you get ahead with Corki mid, you can just start really so quickly start moving around the map and poking down, sieging down towers. And they did it perfectly. I mean, Fnatic didn't know what hit them.
You actually just played against the Corki mid as well with your team. What are kind of the dangers when it doesn't get rolling?
I think Corki mid is just broken. I mean, my team isn't like 100% on the same page as I am, but I personally think this champ is really good because you have to keep in mind that it's not like before. He has like nearly like 75% or more magic damage, so he's actually can possibly be a mid laner. And then he also has the fact that like he does a lot of damage, has a 1-item power spike, and has poke. Like level 11, you get level 11 really fast when you're in mid lane, and you can afford to go hybrid pen runes, for example. So you actually do a lot of damage, and then add the package on top of that. I think it's a complete package. Yeah.
Add in Thunderlord. Add in the fact that death time is in the mid game is longer, so a champion like Corki, who is so strong with his overall damage, if he takes down just one target, you can really use it. Add in the fact you get more gold from taking towers. I mean, everything about Corki mid is very good right now, as long as you don't fall behind in lane. But he's so safe as well in the laning phase because you can just Valk away from almost every single gank.
I think he's probably one of the safest mid laners right now.
I like you, Mithy. I like you.
Yeah, thanks,
we'll see if it comes out in this pick and ban phase when we talk about mid laners and pressure and getting lanes rolling. That's something that happened very well for the side of the Unicorns of Love with Diamond, and actually also with Joko yesterday with that substitute. What's your impression of them overall? It almost seems like Diamond wasn't there, but they kept the same game plan and it's working for them.
Well, I actually have no idea who this Joko guy is. I really don't know, but what I have noticed from Unicorns of Love, and something that I also didn't expect, is their bot lane Steelback and Hylissang. I think their Steelback has impressed me a lot this year, and not only that, but adding a Kalista ult to a godlike Thresh player like Hylissang just does wonders.
So Steelback last year, you obviously played against him, I assume in scrims back in spring. What do you think has really changed for him? Like, what has he gotten a lot better at now compared to last year?
Well, a lot of European supports, up and coming, are very, very talented mechanically. See Kazing, see Hylissang, for example. The main thing with these players is the fact that they need experience, because the support role is a lot about knowing where to be, what to do, and just like how to like just make that key play that just changes the game and not get caught. And I think that with time, these things just come easier to everyone. So Hylissang is just had experience, you know, and experience makes you better. I think that's basically what's happened with him.
We'll see in this game, Hylissang is up against another up-and-comer who has been impressing us, Hybrid, so that'll be a very interesting matchup to track. The teams are locked in, so let's take it away, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Shocks. I'm Devin Tennis Young, and I'm hopping on the cast desk with James Presto O'Leary. And because this game is too big for two casters, we still got Crepo, of course. But let's take a look at this highlight matchup here in Europe. We have the Unicorns of Love sitting up on the blue side. That means we've got Chachi in the top lane, Joko in for Diamond Prox in the jungle. That is Fox in the mid lane, Steelback the AD carry, the support Hillsang, and Coach Sheepy.
And meanwhile, their opponents, it is G2 Esports on the red side with Kikis in the top lane, Trick in the jungle, Perks that mid laner with Emperor in AD carry, Hybrid alongside him in support, and Youngbuck rounding it out as the coach.
I like their jackets. That's my contribution.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm a big fan of the G2 jackets.
We're off to a good one today.
Hopefully, they can take it home. G2, so far, they've impressed. They've surprised. If you look back at what they were building once they qualified into LCS, barely made it in against SK, then dropped off the grid, didn't hear from them, and suddenly they bring in Trick and Emperor, and there were some question marks, but boy, these guys have delivered.
Well, that was always going to be the question, right? Is how is that communication? How can these players live up on more than just a mechanical level? And seemingly, G2 have managed to bridge that and put these players seamlessly into their roster.
All right, now he's set up for picks and bans. Starting off on the board, much of what we expect. The Lyssandra's off the table, the GP as well, and that's a Z ban there. Fox won't be getting it himself this time.
Yeah, because Fox is likely so used to playing Zed, he played the majority on the red side. Probably doesn't feel comfortable blind picking against the mid laner of Perks' caliber, and probably knows how explosive that Zed can be if he is picked on the fifth pick. So he's actually respecting Zed as a champion, not wanting to give it to Perks, even though it's one of his most played.
Yeah, I like the rest of the bands to round it out as well. Tam Kench, still one of the big picks. Don't want Kikis to get that. He played 2 games on Tam Kench and really put his authority on the game, making plays with G2. Ryze to round it out as well. Chachi played a whole lot of Ryze last split, so no reason to let him have that either on this one.
Yeah, Kalista's taken off the board for Steelback. That's good because Steelback Hillsang did very well with that lane. We could see just a generic power pick coming out here on the first pick for Unicorns of Love. Lulu is open, and then I wonder what they're going to do on the side of G2 support-wise. I feel like we could see an early Alistar picked up because Thresh doesn't... Hybrid's a good player, but I feel like he serves more of a disengaged CC quasi-tank role on the side of G2.
Definitely. We saw his Braum yesterday. The one thing I'm looking at now is this is one of the games we've got with Elise available ever since the bans, and no jungle priority just yet for G2. They've locked in the Corki and the Lucian, no having to guess around where that Corki is going. That's Corki mid lane with that Lucian going to the
Yeah, I like it. This is a really smart drop because they ban out the best AD carry, then they take the best AD carry mid laner, and then they take whatever's left of the best AD carry that gets enabled by Lulu too. So
yeah.
Who are you now going to pick on the side of Unicorns to get enabled by that Lulu pick? You almost have to go for Misfortune, maybe Caitlyn, if you want to go back to traditional Unicorns of Love style of Jinx, but they're putting pressure with the early rotation in the pick and bans, and I think that's good from G2.
The other option would be the Ezreal that was hovered over very briefly, although that does now require extra time in the game. If they do opt for it, they can just wait for their AD carry and maybe look to pick up a couple more of those stronger picks that they're looking for at this point.
Yeah, Ezreal definitely not as successful for Steelback on the Unicorns this split so far, so definitely he'll have to reach deeper in his champion pool to find out what he wants to play. However, won't have to worry about it on that rotation as they lock in the Fiora and the Alistar, so we get a better idea of where that Lulu is headed. Should be in Fox's hands.
Yeah, I don't think they'll go for the Ezreal because enabling a poke kite AD carry with a Lulu, it feels like a little bit against the strategy if that's all you do. If you get a Fiora in there though, then you can go for the Ezreal later on because then at least you can send the Fiora forward. Worst case, late game if Ezreal gets fed, he's untouchable. We've seen that over in LCK though, if you get to the late game. But against this composition that G2 is drafting and how they've been playing with explosive mid games, it may be a little too risky on the side of Unicorns.
I do have like the Fiora pickup here. Chachi, if he can get going, can present enough of a threat here up in the top lane against Kikis. Kikis played the Fiora yesterday. It was a little bit rough. We haven't seen him playing up against somebody that is looking to get ahead and snowball a game. So that top lane matchup has been the big question for G2. And now this one with Chachi on Fiora could be a difficult one.
Yeah, but we see what G2 is already planning right here. They are building the ultimate siege composition. Corki, Lucian, they poke with Culling, they poke with Rockets, they poke with Spears from Nidalee, they get attack speed steroids, then they take down a tower. If at any position you're trying to wave clear, Poppy Ultimate will knock you back 3 screens and then you just take down the tower. They're likely looking for the finish on the Braum. G2 is so confident in their poke composition that they don't leave their last pick for a counter pick. Everybody knows already that this is likely going to be the Braum for disengage because they already hovered it and they did a similar thing yesterday. But they're so confident in their strength here, and now Unicorns of Love are scraping to get as much wave clear as they can.
Well, I'm expecting them to go jungle Rek'Sai here. That's pretty much what Joko is completely standard on. He played it in Challenger a lot. It provides secondary engage alongside the Alistar here. And if they have the Ezreal getting into the game with the slow, that might present an opportunity to create a flank play with the Rek'Sai or the Alistar. It is a difficult one and will rely on good vision control around this heavy poke composition from G2.
Yeah, and that Ezreal is also locked in for Steelback, so he's fallen back into a comfortable position, but as the same is true for Joko, they weren't really going to contest that Rek'Sai, and we expect that to go very tanky. And the last lock-in, of course, the Braum.
Just as we expected, Braum insta-lock, no hesitation. So G2, well, while Unicorns preemptively ban out Zed because they fear the potential counter pick on the last pick for red side, Gamers 2 or G2, they just lock in the Braum as a support. Yeah, maybe a counter pick because Alistar was locked in early, but they don't use the counter pick advantage at all. They just go for a full-out poke siege composition with a big spike in the mid game. And honestly, the Unicorns will need to find some creative openings because otherwise they will struggle in the mid game. If this game goes even, they will just lose all their towers eventually because I don't think they have the power and the wave clear strength to hold their towers alive.
Yeah, they can't just sit there and just try and wave clear. This isn't quite the same as the Victors we've seen where you just stay in mid lane and hold it for all time. This time they have to make things work. If they fall behind, this is going to be a tough one to get back into for the Unicorns.
It absolutely will, as the coaches shake hands walking off the stage. But with all of that, the comps are locked, everybody. The Rift is ready, and it is time for UOL and G2 to face off head-to-head.
Steelback's caught up, but Baron's been secured. Gumsu's almost soloed. Steelback's starting to stay alive.
They do play really good on stage.
Another triple kill for Steelback.
In every team, almost, we have one unicorn, which we want really to beat him and show him that we're the better team.
The magic is still real.
If we prepare enough, we can win against anyone.
I just want them to win, but of course not against us.
All right, everybody, as the hush settles in, don't forget to tell us who you think is going to take this game away. At LOL Esports is the place. Hashtag UOL win and hashtag G2 win, as these two teams are looking to claim the top spot here in Europe. Onto the Rift, starting now.
As we can see, G2 grouping themselves up, getting that top side vision. This is a bit of a departure from what we have seen from other teams, looking for just kind of spreading out to try and get the early wards to spot the lane swap in the top side of River. They've not left them yet, and getting real deep wards now into the Unicorns side. So really wanting to spot out what the early game play is.
Yeah. I wish the Unicorns did the same approach as they took against Fnatic, where they hit their bot lane early, deep in the lane, because G2 likely just won the lane swap, not for the particular matchups. Poppy into Fiora, skill matchup with jungle influence. Bot lane, both of these matchups are fine farming. But if you go to the bigger picture, a lane swap means longer lanes, accelerated game, towers already down. If side lane turrets are down, it is way easier to force a rotation into the mid lane and get that final tier 1 tower down. So I believe that G2 is looking for the lane swap here.
And we've seen how much trouble teams have had trying to get that tier 1 tower with the Corki there. He has so much lane presence and the ability to just clear out everything that's pushed into him very quickly. So it's going to be a tough one here if G2 can manage to hold that turret.
Interesting decision though. They didn't spot any enemies and they path back into their Gromp blind. That is incredibly risky from G2 overall. Yes, they have control over one side of the map, but then they relinquish that and just face check into their jungle. They don't get punished though. Unicorns not taking a camp on their own. Experience advantage on the bot lane. It does look like we do get a 2-2.
We do get those standard lanes, and as you mentioned, G2 were not punished for the risky decision-making. Steelback and Hillsang were a little more interested in starting the farm up, and Hilly's going to go ahead and try to push Hybrid and Emperor away.
Yeah, he's starting W, and man, this is the trading potential now of Lucian and Braum.
Already low.
I mean, at this point, remember, they're going to level up. If they got all experience to level up after 2 range creep, maybe they missed the melee. But good chance that Emperor levels up right here. No, he did miss 1 melee creep, so he needs 1 more. But at that point, look here, level 2. And Steelback and Hillsang right now, they need those 3 melee creeps. 2 more. They're getting poked out and zoned.
That exhaust already. Look at the top lane, though. Chachi is taking a lot of damage from Kikis. The big hammer coming in handy.
Well, this is something similar we've seen in this matchup. Kikis, once he's got the buckler available early on, he's able to take a little bit more control of these trades just from having that shield. But Chachi did have to burn that teleport to get up to this top lane to make sure he was keeping up with Kikis when it comes to experience.
Yeah, and due to the way the level 1 played out, as we see Hillsong frantically trying to knock people around with W level 1, due to the way the level 1 played out, Fiora actually started double jungle on the bot side of the map because they expected the forced lane swap by G2. Therefore, Fiora had to teleport into the top lane. Kikis was already in that lane, reaps the benefits, gets the push, gets a trading, and now has teleport advantage available too. So winning top lane, winning bot lane, and the strongest mid-game spike mid laner in Corki in the mid lane for G2 off to a good start.
I'm wondering where this now snowballs into, or at least trickles down. If Joko can manage to sustain himself up and look to maybe go top lane, there is, however, a ward from Poppy. There was an opening where Nidalee bot side, where Rek'Sai could have looked to come top. Kikis recognizes that and has warded it out, so he shouldn't die in this situation.
Take a look at Joko starting off quite easily early enough. Always goes that very tanky Rek'Sai. We don't expect him to necessarily be having a lot of damage, but they don't need it since they've got a lot of artificial tankiness on the side of Unicorns as well.
Yeah, Joko, if he does go for the top lane gank, he relies on closing the gap and then going for the knockup, but obviously Kikis has Steadfast Presence available, which cancels the tunnel entirely, so we'll need to see how that plays out.
I think in that situation, especially this early on, that is one of the things that obviously Poppy has to her credit. The later this laning phase goes on, Chachi's Q is actually on a fairly low cooldown, so is one that you can continue to jump back in, but I feel like that matchup is a tough one for Poppy, but bottom lane.
Miscommunication. Hybrid is peeling aggressively with shield after Emperor is already backed out of the trade after using his gap closer aggressively. So they're not in sync right there, so we didn't see a hop from Hybrid on Emperor. Trading out of sync.
And this is something we saw week 1 with Hybrid and Emperor, where Hybrid was basically flash exhaust going in on Braum, and then Emperor was just farming off at the side. There was that miscommunication and potentially that language barrier, but seemingly G2 have crossed that bridge and seems to be an okay situation for the most of the game, but that was another example where it just starts creeping in.
You never know when that is going to be the tipping point. Take a look at the top lane matchup since Chachi and Kikis have been trading a lot back and forth. Kikis showed yesterday that he could play something that is not a tank, even if that Fiora was mostly used for the split push and farming down bottom side. He's definitely holding his own against Chachi this time around.
Yeah, he did show some weakness in that matchup. Got solo killed by the Malphite. Played the rest of the game well, but in the laning phase, has to work out a little bit on that solo laning. This time, though, he did get a good start. But despite good starts in both top lane and bot lane, the CS has pretty much evened out in both scenarios. Obviously, Ezreal is a good champion to play from behind, can safely farm. Hillsong, with some points in heal, can definitely keep his AD carry alive. So far, not a big advantage from G2. But again, we're waiting for that mid game where they will group on these towers, initiate the group siege plays.
And that's where safely farming for an Ezreal doesn't really count for too much, because he can't wave clear as well as a lot of other AD carries, but it's top lane that the action could come out. Joko is looking for that tunnel in on Rek'Sai. You said it already. Steadfast Presence is there to deter this gank if he looks to go in. He could flash unburrow and maybe spot Kikis before this actually goes. Here he goes.
There's the riposte. That was a little hammer shock, though.
So what Chachi is trying to do there is force Kikis into making him believe that he's winning the trade and use Steadfast Presence offensively, but there's no synergy yet between Joko and his top laner Visit Chachi there, because you want to wait for Steadfast Presence to be out and then engage with the Rek'Sai, but a little bit of a panic there.
Yeah, that was really awkwardly timed. The Steadfast Presence was already there, and then he burrows in. It's like, that's just kind of unfortunate at that point. And Kikis gets himself a pink ward from it as well. But Joko, not to be deterred, has gone straight into the enemy jungle. They know that Nidalee was on the bottom side, so he's just looking to take as much as he can from being top side and try and slow down Trick.
And will certainly need all the help he can get. G2 have managed to secure themselves 500 gold in the leads, mostly off of that farm differential, but all the little things help as Hybrid and Emperor will back and go ahead and pick up their first items. Already had forced Steel back and Hilly to do the same. Back to the mid lane though. Perks on this Corki once again. He had a very solid performance yesterday on this champion. Obviously, you don't pick Lulu to really pressure that mid lane, but all the same, I feel like UOL are going to need to keep that in the back of their heads this game.
Perks on Corki yesterday was fantastic. Multiple times did he simply show dominance over Spirit, and he used the new Corki package very aggressively.
And honestly, that's kind of down Perks' alley, these poke champions. Last year, he played a whole lot of Jace. Vizichachi and Kikis, or Vizichachi and Kikis, yeah, in top lane.
Yep, Chachi is barely able to escape from that one. It really looked dire for a minute when Kikis was able to spend the ult.
Yeah, and the way we saw that engage take place there is you E forward, instant ulti for the knockup to then gain distance. That's the way Poppies really want to play. And incorporate that just suspension to really get advantage in the lane. But then later on, it takes another dimension. When you're sieging, you can actually go for the full channel. You force people to walk backwards. Either they get hit by the Poppy ulti, or they stand out of range. Regardless, you have zone for turrets. If not, he's already winning the matchup there in the top lane. So Kiki's good performance right now. But behind Emperor and Hybrid is
teleport.
Joko.
Pair of teleports. This is about to get messy. In comes... Looks like it's Kikis, but he's going to find Joko. That wild growth is forced Hybrid too low. Do we not have a first blood yet? No, we don't. Hilly is tanking it up. There's the true shot barrage, and steal back to Kirsten onto Hybrid. Emperor's going to answer back. Kikis so low, but he gets the pick on Joko, and now it's just Emperor trying to 1v2, but he stepped too far forward, and a little help from Pix, and a flash will mean another kill. This one for Fox.
But this is a 3v4 from G2, and when their strategy relies entirely around taking macro decisions and getting towers down, G2 opted in for a 3v4 when they could have disengaged. Yes, we had some fantastic outplays there, but in the end, they still trade unevenly, whereas if they backed off, they should have just taken mid lane tower for free. Yeah. So we see a little bit of that greed coming out.
That engage as well, when you look at it, Hylissang held onto his flash for so long. There could have been a potential flash earlier in on this fight.
So what, just basic logistics. You're 2v2 right now, the jungler comes in, you're 3v2, you see the teleport, and you're 4 versus 3. At this point, when you get the kill on Joko, imagine if they just back out right here. Look in the mid lane. Perks has complete control over that mid lane. You can even send you a jungler top to hold, but just bad logistics management and Emperor believing in the outplay. But in the end, you go 3 for 2 on that play, and that is, in my opinion, still a misplay. Good execution of the 4v3, but it's the wrong play to take.
I actually think that Kikis could have easily cancelled his teleport as well, because the teleport is enough to make Unicorns start backing away, because you have to respect whoever's turning up. Yes, they knew they still had the numbers advantage because of their own teleport, but for G2, that was never a fight they were going to take if it's 3v4.
It only works if you tell your team in time, though. Otherwise, they believe that you're coming in. And so Perks here looking for another package.
Big jump on over. He finds Fox, who will hit him with the Foss bomb, but not enough to take more than a bite out of his health bar. And he gets the Valk right back on up. So another solid move, but this time Fox was able to dodge away from most of the damage.
Man, you get so antsy when you've got the package.
Oh!
Man, Steelback.
I forgot about Nidalee. Trick gets knocked back and away, but Steelback is way too low to handle this one.
This is the way G2 wants to play. Initial spear, one skill shot connects, and then you zone them off. Meanwhile, in the top lane,
there's a grand
Kiki
challenge.
straight against Chachi.
Looking for those vitals. Kikis a little bit lower as Chachi moves in around, lunges, gets the healing belt up. Kikis doesn't have his ultimate available, already spent it, and Joko's around the side. He knocks them back in, but they won't have enough damage to 1v2 this. Kikis is in a whole lot of trouble, and he will finally fall to Chachi.
He was just taking time, though, at that point, and it allows G2 to take bot tower, now get an engaged mid,
Big
and
rocket!
they get the kill.
There's Perk's first kill of the game. This is going to be a dragon over to G2 as well. They start to move on forward at the cost of Kikis' life.
Yeah, so G2 is playing composition where they can win the game essentially without taking any kills. What they want to do is exactly that, poke and then disincentivize people from actually defending their turrets. Make them give it up for free. That's the way they want to play, and you see what they're doing. One spear from Trick. This seed right here, Hylissang can't commit because one guy, Fox is in the grave right now because of the outplay from Perks, but overall, exactly what we were thinking about in Champ Select is happening. Tower lead, 3-0 for G2.
And so much of it is because of that teleport down to the bottom lane from Fox. Yes, it got the Unicorns of Love the couple of kills in that fight, but look at the vision control bot side that G2 have established just from having that mid tower down and now the bot tower. It allowed them to take mid, put the vision, get bottom tower, and now set up picks around the bottom jungle. And that's only what G2 want to do. There's no reason for them to get dragged into more fights by UOL unless they hit those spears and already have them half health.
Exactly, but the goal difference is not the worth of those 3 kill towers, though. That is something we have to keep in mind, which means Unicorns of Love are playing a more efficient farm and skirmish game. And eventually, if the map slows down and the game itself slows down, the map generally doesn't slow or speed up, it's a map, but
oh, Trick.
He was wishing things slowed down for just a second. True shotted, but Joko gets the kill on him.
So if things like these keep happening, where random little pickoffs get the Unicorns back in the game, they will eventually take those towers back and use that gold lead that they got from the pickoffs, and then G2 is in trouble.
Well, this is Unicorns reacting to what G2 are attempting to do next. They're saying, okay, well, our outer top tower is the only thing you can take realistically, so we're going to move everybody topside, take the Rift Herald, put the Vision out, and then pick somebody off as the first members of G2 are coming up to the top side. That's what they've done, and if they can continue to do it, they should be able to hold on for a little bit longer and get these skirmishes. Problem is, it's only Steel back up here, and he doesn't realistically have the wave clear to do this alone, so he has to back away.
Yeah, he doesn't want to give up on that Rift Herald buff that he was able to secure. They will have a little extra. Joko is sending out the Void Rush, but he's only able to come halfway up the river. Hopefully that scares G2 off. With the help of Hilly, it looks like it does, but still, a lot of vision, a lot of focus for G2 on this top side, as it is the obvious thing for them to take. And the top laners have been relegated to the bottom, but Joko, meanwhile, he's coming around for a sneaky side mission. Emperor and Hybrid might be caught here. Spooky Ghost, he's got the knockup. In goes the Wild Growth. Triple knockups on that, and Fox gets Emperor. Hybrid exhausted, flashes the wall, but Shachi is hot on his tail. The Grand Challenge is out. The True Shot comes in. Hybrid's help is no more, and Shachi gets a kill.
Joko is unfazed playing on this stage. He ults to the top side, goes into the Rift Herald pit, tunnels to where he knows he's clear on a ward, and sets up for a flash unburrow on 2 players from Gamers 2. Very impressive out of his Rek'Sai, and we said that's what he's comfortable playing, and it doesn't look like the stage is doing anything to him.
Yeah, the more impressive part is that he altered the pathing. So he showed up at a direction, as we see Kikis here, knocked Shachi into the wall.
Too much terrain.
Is still down.
Shachi shut down. That's courtesy of Kikis and a little help.
So this is the reaction play from G2 on that play from Unicorns. They're overreaching here in the top though. Emperor has the backup from Hybrid. They should be fine. They may be able to outplay this. No mana on Steelback.
Yeah, Joko still has a pretty hefty health bar, but Steelback is tanking all the tower shots. Has to burn Summoner Heal to get away. Now Hilly is the target. Hybrid and Emperor have chased him off.
So this play in its entirety spans 2.5 minutes. It starts with the play in the top lane where Joko alters the pathing, forces them to go back into top lane, trying to escape. Teleport from Chachi comes in, they pick it up. G2 react, albeit a little slowly, with a rotation towards the bot lane, and they just siege. They take down another turret. That is their preferential style of play. They need to translate this later on into vision control and Baron baits, but they're about to hit their mid-game power spike. Remember, they're not even at full strength yet.
No, they're definitely not at that high power level, but Perkz has definitely started getting going, and in the last few minutes he picked up that Trinity Force. Hilly's all alone to defend this top tower, and Emperor should have no problem taking out, but Chachi comes out of the blue. Nonetheless, one more shot will do it. They get themselves tower number 5. G2, some more gold in their pockets, and they're sticking around the top side.
Yeah, they are. Although Poppy, Kikis, and Hybrid are coming down through the jungle just to try and maybe secure a little bit more of this vision. There's only one tower that isn't a base tower still remaining, and they're going to clear out everything here to make sure there's no kind of flank attempts that are going to come from either the Rek'Sai or any kind of plays from the rest of the Unicorn.
Dangerous setup here. Ezreal's farming on his own in the bottom lane, and there's not enough wave clear available. Kikis using the ultimate to disengage right here. Doesn't do too much, but look at the tower melting straight away. Unicorns are ready to play the vision game. We see 4 pink wards in their inventory, but what if they're just in vision already taking down your tower? What are you gonna do? We need Steelback to join this fight.
Yeah, Steelback is still only mid lane. He's sticking around and doesn't look to be coming top anytime soon, but that's because G2 are backing away. They got good damage down onto that turret with just 1 wave of minions. Perkz does get clipped there, but there's no real follow-up. Kikis is there to deflect anything.
Yeah, Unicorns have banked so heavily on this later game power spike, and G2, on the other hand, have their mid-game now, and they are taking it to them. If they can defend this tower here with Perkz, Kikis, and Trick all in the area, they can keep Unicorns from pushing, and then they can push themselves right back, and you saw how fast they were able to shred everything.
Yeah, you see the power of repetitive poke in terms of wave clear. That's why the Unicorns need to find an opening where they flank and dive, but they're having difficulties doing that, mostly because G2 is putting up the pressure on every lane. Right now we get the package on Perkz too. You see another aggressive play.
But the opening is potentially in the bottom lane. Emperor was down there. The Unicorns were moving down towards it, but I think it's the package that signaled them to back away. Perkz had recalled, and I think right up until you hear that siren go off, there is that chance that you can look for a play on mid tower or bottom tower, but you can cross so much distance so quickly right there that G2 had accounted for that.
You gotta respect
sending
the
Emperor
package.
to bottom. Yeah, you have to. As soon as that siren goes off, you know something's going down.
Especially on somebody like Perkz. 1-0-1 in this game, but still, as he showed yesterday, he can surely shine on non-assassin champions as well. Was really curious to see how he'd face off against Fox, but Fox himself has gone the more utility role, and his Lulu has actually been quite solid this game as well.
Yeah, he's done wave clear, but In team fights, obviously the Unicorns shine. They definitely, once the fight starts and everybody is within, say, battle range, obviously the Unicorns' composition will thrive because that's what they're built to do. Fiora is a great duelist at a 1v1, but accelerated by Lulu works too. But G2, they actually just don't want to fight. They want to poke you, make it so that if you do opt into a fight, it's almost a guaranteed loss. So complete contrast in team compositions here.
UOL going for the consolation prize here. The Rift Scuttler, or Rift Herald for Dragon trade that we see teams kind of take because it's available and they got nothing else. But they're doing this very slowly, and the rest of the G2 are on their way. A little bit of indecision from Unicorns of Love. Doesn't actually net them that Herald.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's up for G2 if they can take it in the next minute and a half. That actually makes their siege significantly stronger, just from that extra auto-attack speed on the minion.
Yeah, there's extra auto-attack speed. The biggest part of the buff is really the movement speed. That allows your poke champions to actually get in positions that you're not used to them getting in position for. Like the little extra sidestep that really gains in that distance, you know, that may be enough to get in a position for a good spear. The minions itself, they're not tankier, so they actually get ruined by wave clear a lot. But hey man, all bits help in the siege comp.
And it's really going to work for Unicorns as a stalling tool, but not if they don't take it. G2, sensing the moment of opportunity in the contested vision zone, will go ahead and secure it themselves. Fox was coming in for a check, but that's immediately going to prompt a culling out of Emperor. There it's taken. Took a little longer than I thought. Perkz will be able to pick it up. And G2 still look like they're committed to this topside push.
Yeah, if the Unicorns can hang on like they're doing right now until, say, minute 26, 27, then they're in the game. But Kikis right now,
it's a
seeing
duel.
how this matchup plays out here.
No challenge just yet.
Hang on, we see Hylissang roaming to the bottom lane, no vision. Kikis has to respect.
He's going to run into the cow. Oh, knocks him against the wall to start things up. And Kikis gets knocked over it. But right into Fox.
Unicorns.
Is he going to send the hammer out? It knocks a couple away. Then he turns on to
well
Steelback.
played.
Perkz is coming in, and he picks up Steelback right off the back of that one. Joko can't take this for long. A double kill to Perkz. Hylissang, unbreakable will, but how unbreakable is he? Got to flash away.
And Perkz above of your screen right there, chasing Fox, and what a beautiful team fight here from G2. Creative use of the Poppy ultimate and then knock back into the wall, completely surprising Unicorns. Fox drops down, G2 kill another one. They're in control of this game.
And this is the thing, as soon as you can get them split off, going through these small corridors, this is where these siege and poke kind of champions work best. There's so little room to maneuver, and you have the numbers advantage. You can just continue to keep things going. And G2, they came from Challenger. The other team that came from Challenger, Splice, looking on in the bottom of your screen, looking at G2 potentially taking the spot at the top of the table.
Hang on. This is risky. This is very risky because they're playing a poke composition, trapped in a little cage here. It gets a team fight comp. This may be the throw that the Unicorns are looking for.
Hilly knocks Emperor over, but he comes right back on in. Everyone's low in the Baron pit, but Hilly, he might be the first to fall. No, he's not. Actually, he is. It's going to be Trick that gets taken down. The Baron's low, but they've got no smite. Hybrid's out of there, and Unicorns turn around. Can they pick this Baron up? I think so. But no smite there. It's going over. It goes to Fox. The Unicorns with a big pickup.
That is the move that could turn this game on its head for the Unicorns. Now somehow G2 have to try and siege into the Baron buff. Great use from Kikis of that ult.
Yeah, just let's watch this again. So he gets one escape path out of the way. Lulok's out. He knocks him into the wall right there. Chase onto Joko, forcing Healy Flash. Fox eventually gets picked off in the top of your screen. Chachi eventually dies too, but then they make the crucial mistake. They go for the spot on 20-minute Baron, which means death timers, they're not as long as you're used to in the late game. And remember, you're playing a poke comp. That means repetitive poke, but that's slow on Baron, and you're playing into a teamfight comp. Thank you, Observers, for speeding that up.
And look at this. Rek'Sai was up with the ultimate. Fiora's about to come up, and you know her teleport's available. You're keeping track of that timer, so even if the start of this fight goes well, you're gonna get cleaned up by the rest of the Unicorns of Love. Joko dying here was the maybe one saving grace from G2, but this Baron is so incredibly low. Emperor.
No vision.
No.
Did he have vision?
He had 2 wards in there, but was just a second too late running towards the wall to flash in.
Yeah.
All said and done, though, we're even on kills. But Unicorns are the ones with the Baron in their pockets, and they have a chance to keep this game going as G2's power will wane.
And we've talked about this before in different games. Baron is both the strongest tool for a poke and siege composition, but also the hardest counter. Because their strength lies into clearing those minions easily with what? A magic-based poke. Rockets, spears. Yes, the Cullen can tear through a minion wave, but then you can't use it as poke to get people off the turrets. Right now, the Unicorns, they won't be sieged upon, and they can actually siege or go for plays on G2 here, because G2 can't wave clear the wave anymore.
Yep, Kikis has to spend his Keeper's Verdict. It just knocks Joko, or rather, Hylissang way out of the way. Meanwhile, another tower falls, so Unicorns extend their total to 3. That's only half a G2, but they have an outer that should be easy peasy. And they're gonna knock it down, but Kikis and Trick are coming for him. Buckler's out, Trick's there. Don't think they have enough damage. True Shot Barrage is in. Perks, he can't get enough done either, and that tower's done.
The one thing G2 have to be careful of here is getting baited into a fight. If they try and fight while this Baron buff is still on, Unicorns can potentially just straight up end the game. G2 have to focus on not hemorrhaging enough towers that it becomes critical damage to their base, and as long as they keep their inhibitor towers up, they should be fine. Once Baron is gone, grab the package and look to siege again. The problem is the gold gap between these two teams is going to close with every play that the Unicorns are doing, and Unicorns are getting stronger from that time.
Yep.
Still got the Empowered Recall on. Unicorns still pushing up in the mid side for the moment, but that Dragon's about to come up, and G2 do not want to give the first over to Unicorns.
Yep, Gamers 2 rebranded to G2. Apparently stands for Greedy 2. Completely threw away that game.
Ouch.
I guess the G's got to stand for something.
Yeah. Last Ocelot. No, maybe you're right.
It's not a G6 this game. They're not flying as high as they might have expected. Very close in the gold game, but that Baron empowerment has just evaporated. Unicorns trying to fight out for this Dragon. Would be their first, but it's taken by G2. That is number 3. And with the movement speed, they hightail it out of there.
Yeah, much better spacing. You see, it's very hard for the Unicorns to engage because they actually only have one instance of hard engage, which is Flash Knockup from the Alistar. To an extent, Flash Knockup and Borrow from Joko, so they need to look for a flank. So as long as G2 has the Unicorns in their sights, they can just poke away, disengage, whittle them down, and then opt for the fight on their ground.
Now the Baron's off, Perks has a big moment. Once he recalls, picks up the package, he's carrying about 1,500 gold right now. He is so strong. With a Trinity Force, Infinity Edge, and an attack speed item on its way, with the package, that would be G2's time to maybe pick somebody off on their own. I still don't think they want the 5v5 fight here, so they're going to wait on that until they have the right opportunity.
G2 is looking to repeat what's been working for them.
Yeah.
Push in the lanes, use the Poppy Fiora matchup to at least go even, then use the remaining part of the map to win the 4v4 poke, get vision in between the lanes, and then either force a mistake or rotate on and siege a tower. That's the way they want to play. They want to do the same thing the entire game in, game out. Right now, we see Kikis facing off against Chachi.
Throws the buckler, but there's the grand challenge. He looks around the side, can't quite find enough finals, but there he goes. Chachi with a big kill as Trick comes in for round 2. He's got some help from Emperor. Teleport, though, is coming out, and it looks like Fox is going to tank it up or give it to Chachi, but he's got to flash away, and Perks gets a godlike kill. Fox is out, Joko's out, knock him up with the Brahmo. Fox is down, and Emperor gets the kill as Joko, exhausted, gets stunned, taken out. It's going to be a double for Emperor. 3 for 1. G2
is playing a fantastic Braum. Yesterday he did it, today he does it again. Really jumps in, gets a 2-man ultimate, stacks on the third person, and G2 can obviously chase people down. They win that fight 3-4-1 in total, and right now, yeah, familiar sight. They're setting up for a siege.
I mean, for the Unicorns, Chachi had already soaked 3 people up to the top lane. I'm a little confused at why you'd try and continue that fight. You know G2 are fairly far ahead, and as soon as Perks shows up, there's very little, resistance that the Unicorns can use to stand up to that. This is an inhibitor tower going down for G2.
Hang on though, if they greed for the inhib, we have a flank from Hylissang. That could be the opening they're looking for. Look at how he's waiting for his team members to spawn, and how he wants to hurt the cattle.
TP, and they've also got Joko coming around, but Hilly's already there in the back a little bit early. G2 are locked up, but there's not enough damage. Perks picks up a big kill. Grand Challenge is out. Trick is bailing out of the situation. Everyone's low as a shutdown comes in for Steelback. Kikis is knocked into the entire team. A double kill for Steelback now as Perks is on the retreat. The Spooky Ghost chased him down. He gets a shutdown on Steelback. Looks for Fox. He's turned into a minion, but there we go. Backing away. The repost is in. Trick is there. Back in the fight. Outplayed by Chachi. Perks and Chachi dueling it out. This game is nuts, boys!
What a long team fight, and Perks managed to stay alive for so long. He was untouched for most of that fight and tried his best in the last little second to micro his way around. Got a good few kills just from his movements through the jungle in that team fight, but ultimately ended up falling. Chachi is so strong right now.
Yeah, and we've seen the Unicorns overreach at times like we saw there in the top lane, but their bigger picture strategy right now has been a lot better. Look what Hylissang is doing. They know, the Unicorns understand that this Inhib is going down. He is just cutting off the escape route right now. He wants to keep them busy as long as he can. Goes for the W into Q flash to keep everybody busy. Ultimate's not available or late, likely not available, but he stalls time. Joko gets a 3 or 4 man knockup right now. And this fight, if this spear doesn't connect on Steelback right there, could have been an ace, a straight up ace. But keep your eyes on Perkz right here. His ability to read when to turn is actually what separates him from many other mid laners here. He's not afraid to go aggressive in a defensive fight.
Yeah, it's just impressive. He even dodges out on the riposte and just everything here from Perkz. If Chachi wasn't quite as fed as he was, I think Perkz can deal with that. The problem is, Chachi already has himself 3 items with that Sterix gauge as well, so he's incredibly difficult to chunk through.
But again, this was a fight. We see Joko disengage. That was started by a flanking. Hang on, Hybrid's getting caught.
I don't think we're going to have to disengage.
Really
He's knocked
slime.
over.
Fail combo. Again, this was a fight that started with a flank, where members from Unicorns pincered G2. Every fight that we've seen taken by G2 so far, where the Unicorns are all in front of G2, has been significantly lost due to the poke and the trickle damage that G2's poke composition is bringing to the table.
Right. But you can't poke 2 sides, so Unicorns have been able to turn the tables, as it were. G2 still in the lead of the gold, or rather now again in the lead of the gold. That graph is probably going to be off the scales, back and forth. Perkz jumps in over to Joka, but he tunnels his way to freedom.
It's a bold move.
Kikis is going pretty deep too. They want to siege this top side down while they've still got power. 29 minutes on the clock here, and the stakes are getting high.
Yeah, I think he was hoping Joko was just moving forward so he'd clip him and manage to get that extra time just to put damage down. But Joko has his ultimate available. Even if that had happened, he'd be able to get close to the pit, although they have cleared out most of the tunnels that were in the river.
G2 trying to make use
You've seen this
of
before.
Unicorn's lack of power.
There's a ward in the back of this pit, though, and
going
in
low.
comes the rest of the Unicorns. It's already gone.
Knocked away. Excellent use of the Keeper's Verdict, and now Chachi is caught in the midst of the team. Shut down, courtesy of Perkz. G2, knowing they have the Baron and a man up, are marching down the line.
Chachi was damned if he did, damned if he didn't. That riposte would have slowed him too much to have blocked that stun. He was dead in that situation, and now G2, with the Baron buff, it's the big help for the Siege comps.
That's just the way Gamers 2 approaches this entire game. They poke you out of an area, deny you the vision, and then when you walk in, you have to get past a Braum and a Poppy ultimate. And that is excruciatingly hard unless you have TP wards from behind. And this time, the Unicorns couldn't get in from behind. They tried the front door, the access got denied, they lose the Baron, they lose their inhib.
Their own front door gets bashed in a little bit more as G2 Esports picks up the first inhibitor of this game. And Unicorns are pretty much left to clean up the mess as they back safely to pick up some new items.
Trick has, he had a good first 20 minutes of the game, I think, as is always the case with Nidalee when you can get yourself on an even footing. This is when Nidalee starts to quieten down just that little bit once there's a lot of magic resist on the enemy team. The problem is, I think she's just strong enough that you can get those spears, take about a quarter of the health off.
Yeah, but if you look at, hang on, the combination of items though, there's a lot of invisible power here from Trix in terms of poke, you don't always see what he connects. And more importantly, when he heals his allies, he grants them 60% attack speed. If you look at the very crit-heavy builds that some of these carries have built up, combined with the Zeke's Harbinger that's been finished on Hybrid, they can enable their carries to carry hard. You may not always see it on your screen, but it's definitely there. So this is one of the few compositions that I actually enjoy watching a Nidalee in. Other than that, I think she's thoroughly overrated in a lot of cases. But in these poke siege compositions, when you have disengaged tanks on your support and top lane, it is actually a good pick.
And overall, that poke comp has been working wonders to siege down towers as well. G2 marches 5 strong in the bottom side. Steelback there to defend with Fox and Hilly, but they've got super minions pouring in through the top side. Time is running out for these Unicorns. Can they find some extra glitter to try and save the game here? Will G2 be on the fast track for a win and shot into first place here in Europe?
Well, Chachi's going head to try top to hold the wave. He does have teleport available, but here it comes in for the great knockup.
Massive one, and they got the true shot. Chachi's around the side. Grand challenge on Perkz. He wastes no time, but Trick takes him out on the back of it, and now Joko's on the retreat path. Not enough health to take him out, and Trick is battered, but the rest of G2's still fresh, and they've got a minion wave coming.
Yeah, Hybrid and Kikis absolutely destroyed that fight. The Poppy ultimate hit both Steelbacks and Fox. They got knocked out of the fight, and then Hybrid bought enough time for the remaining 3v5 to be won. G2 setting up to take this game.
And Chachi coming from the back was pretty much dead by the time he got there, and that seems to be it. G2 are looking for the win.
32.5 minutes on the clock. Unicorns tried their hardest and they nearly brought it back a few times, but in a heart-pounding game, G2 are looking to finish it off. Joko holding the line, steal back to last man standing. That's gonna be it. G2 Esports with the victory.
To be fair, I had my doubts about this man right here on your screen, Perkz, coming into this season. He was a much talked about mid laner here, talented individual. We had questions, champion pool, can he deliver? How does he do on stage? Will he tilt? But he delivered 13-1-7 overall on this Corki. Fantastic performance. And G2 as a team, they delivered with this poke composition.
And the poke composition is one of the most interesting things for me about this. I think I read an interview, with Perkz that said, if you only play one style, be prepared to lose, was his basic wording of it. And we've seen different compositions coming out from G2. We've seen them try and carry with the Ahri. We've seen the Graves double AD carry out of the jungle setup. Now we've seen Poke and Siege. G2 seem like one of the more well-rounded teams that we've got here in Europe.
And stylistically, teams that are starting to early lock in that Lulu will have to wonder if they're getting baited into a trap, because you give up your first pick to lose 2 power picks, especially in a meta where if you ban Kalista and you're locking Corki Lucian. Incredibly smart first rotation on red side here from G2. They can go into any direction with those picks too. They don't have to go commit for the pole composition. And that, honestly, from Youngbuck as a coach, many people were doubting him. He went over to North America to find very limited success. And in his second coaching debut almost, he is leading this multinational G2 into what's becoming a good micro and macro team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a team, there's a reason they've now sat atop of the standings, and really you just got to be impressed at how they've managed to deliver and step up game after game. Saw a little bit of shakiness against H2K, but I really think that this time they delivered incredibly against Fnatic, a struggling team, but this is definitely the statement they wanted to make. For now, though, we are going to toss it to Pulse on stage to get some insight into G2's win to stand alone at the top spot.
Thanks, Para. I'm here with Perkz once again. And first off, to start this one off, Perkz, that was an incredibly chaotic game, but how did you edge ahead of your opponents in that one?
Well, it's just typical Unicorns love game, you know, how it goes. I don't know, I got pretty fed, and then I knew I could carry, and we just sieged, and it worked out.
It just worked out, and the whole split so far has really been working out for you guys. 5-1, top of the table coming into week 3. How have you done it, making all this happen go so well?
Oh, well, we have Koreans, so that's first recipe to victory. And then we just worked hard together, screamed a lot, improved as a team, and now we are showing good performance. Oh, well, this game wasn't that good, but it's getting better.
Well, it's showing the performance as a team. How has it been for you specifically, going up against all of the incredibly strong mid lanes in EU? How has it been for you settling into that?
I don't think there is much pressure on me to perform. That's why I perform good. And yeah, it's just going good.
Oh, no pressure. Well, thank you very much for the interview, Perkz. We're going to send it over to the analyst desk to take a look at that game.
Thank you very much, Pulse and Perkz. I mean, I actually am really enjoying listening to these guys as well. Level-headed, identifying what's going good for them, and another win on the board. Koreans is the recipe for victory. Tell me more about the draft. Obviously, a lot of power pushing and tower pushing rather than sieging coming from the side of G2. What did UOL have to put against that?
Well, so Unicorns of Love, actually, we talked about this in Pick and Ban phase, had a somewhat risky draft in the sense they had to wait quite a while before they can do anything when you have Lulu Ezreal. Where the comp, obviously, from G2 is like siege focused, a lot of power in the mid game, a lot of power in the early game. And we were like, okay, this game should be over in like 30 minutes if G2 plays it out correctly. But there were just so many back and forths and like lost team fights and things going wrong.
I think G2 had a good game plan and they had really good pick and ban because they just had like every lane was a winning lane for them, or at least a lane that could pressure. So Nidalee could like just be everywhere. I think what they screwed up on was not really being aware of the mid lane TP. I think that played with them a lot. They got double TP'd on twice, I think, or at least once, and it screwed with them. And then when they tried to like push their advantage at some point after taking Baron, they also got double TP'd on or TP'd on from behind. And so I think that overall what what screwed with them was just the fact that they didn't really recognize the TP pressure that UOL had.
The problem then for Unicorns is by the time they finally start hitting the spikes and become really strong towards the late game, first of all, Perks was at that point like 10-1 on Corki. He's been getting like solo kills in lane with the Ignite, and he's been playing like super well. And then when Unicorns are finally able to win the game and Chachi's like solo killing people in side lanes, all of Unicorns run in like one by one. And they give up more kills. G2 gets like the base open, and then there was one last remaining fight and the game was basically over.
I think the main problem was like, I think G2 had the game in their hands a lot of times, but they just ended up screwing up, like just one little mistake, they get TP'd behind on, and they just keep giving UOL time, and what UOL needed was time. They needed Ezreal to get items to play with Lulu and just carry, and also Fiora. Fiora was really strong, so all they needed to do was just use that Fiora pressure, use the 4-man unit they had, which was stronger than theirs, even if Corki was fed.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this one fight on top where Chachi 1v1 the Kikis, and it was a 1-for-1. It was perfect. But then they started TPing. Like UOL tried to help Chachi, and then the other members were not there in time, and then they lost their one chance they had to pressure G2. If they had used that pressure properly, they would have won the game.
Definitely, that came after something that we wanted to look at as a replay as well, where G2 wins a fight, but then they turn on Baron. And something you mentioned during the game defeat show was that G2 doesn't seem to always be respecting of the enemy team comp. How did that come out later here when they try and do Baron?
Well, I think G2 is just a very momentum-focused team, and when they start getting that first kill, the second kill, they get super, super hyped, and they are super aggressive in the way they're playing. And that's where you sometimes need that one guy kind of saying, chill out, they have a TP, we don't need to go for that aggressive Baron play. Even though I actually think when they do go to Baron, I'm pretty sure they could have bursted it down. Mithy, you have a lot of experience losing games at Baron, or almost losing them at Barons.
One could say they pulled on OG right there.
Potentially.
Because
here, I'm almost 100% sure if they all stay on Baron and just Kikis walks out as the only man and try and ulti someone away if he has it available, he doesn't actually have it. But then like one guy zones, rest stays on Baron, I'm pretty sure they could just burst it down.
They just need to either coordinate what Kikis is doing right now, just zoning the Rek'Sai off with everyone bursting the Baron pit, and they would have just gotten Baron. It was just a miscommunication, happens, and but they basically threw the game, gave UOL the advantage and the time they needed to scale up, but UOL didn't use it to win.
It's just so heartbreaking to watch a team who's supposed to be behind for the first 25 minutes, and they are behind for the first 25 minutes. Finally, they get this play, and technically they're like in a position to win, and then you get that one big misplay, but because you've been so far behind, your base is already kind of broken, and you mess up that one fight, they walk straight down, took like 2 inhibitors, I think, took the 4th dragon, and then...
But you kept saying, I do still think that Ezreal in the next fight can clean this up.
We heard like 10 times the game was over, and then it kept switching.
But he could. There was this, as soon as they got Baron, Ezreal was given the time to get the items, and Fiora was really ahead of Poppy. We could see him 1v1 the Poppy. So it was at this point where UOL just had to stay calm and just, even if the game takes another 30 minutes, it's only going to get better for them. So they just had to stay calm and just play from there, try and pressure them up as much as they can, choke the other team out.
But in the end, was it really possible? Because you said it before, and they first picked it, the Corki mid and Perks. So strong.
Yeah, I think Perks is pulling out a great performance this few weeks.
Doing very well. And G2 with that is at the top of the tables. UOL, of course, still relatively at the top of the tables, but a loss to think about. It is time for a quick break as Fnatic and Splyce take the stage for our next game. There's more European LCS when we return.
And it is time for UOL and G2 to face off head-to-head. Not have a first blood yet. No, we don't. Hilly is tanking it up. There's the true shot barrage, and steal back to Kirsten. Spooky Ghost, he's got the knockup. In goes the Wild Growth. Triple knockups on that, and Fox gets Emperor. Hybrid exhausted, flashes the wall.
Go. Wait me.
No smite. Waiting. Can you get it?
Oh, yeah. Got it. Nice, got it. Nice. Good job. Back.
But there we go. Backing away. The repost is in. Trick is there. Back in the fight. Outplayed by Chachi. Perks and Chachi dueling it out. This game is nuts, boys. G2 are looking to finish it off. Joko holding the line. Steal back to last man standing. That's going to be it. G2 Esports with the victory.